Welcome. Tonight we're stepping into the quiet, pulsing world of two hearts tethered across miles by the delicate weight of handwritten words. You're here in the soft glow of your lamp, tracing the edges of an envelope with your thumb. Outside, dusk swallows the last of the light, and your room becomes a sanctuary of hush. You probably wanted to survive this kind of heart-thudding anticipation if you had to feel it every day, but tonight, it's just enough to make you shiver in the best way. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And if you can, drop your location and local time in the comments. I do love to know where you're re-listening from. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. Your fingers run along the edge of the envelope again, feeling every crease as if it's a secret map. You've been waiting days, weeks even, for this first letter, replaying the last time you heard their voice, or maybe the way their name sounds in your mind. The paper's weight makes you imagine the exact moment they pressed pen to paper. Did they pause to consider each word, or let them spill out in a rush? The thought makes you smile, the kind of small, slow curve of your lips you only feel alone. You pull the letter out carefully, as if it could tear with a single breath. The pages flutter open, and you're hit by the faint scent of their room, maybe laundry detergent, or a trace of the tea they drink late at night. The first words are simple, "I've been thinking about you," but they thud in your chest like a drum. You mouth them aloud, savoring the syllables that traveled so far to land right here in your quiet space. As your eyes wander down the lines, you find stories of their day, the coworker who made them laugh, the strange bird perched on their balcony, the dinner they burned trying to multitask. Each small detail knits your two worlds closer, stitch by fragile stitch. You wonder how someone can feel this close when you can, to even remember the last time you shared the same sky. Halfway through, you pause. You run your fingers along their names signed at the bottom, lingering over each letter like a prayer. You read it again, this time more slowly, catching the playful curve of their jokes and the softer hesitations between words. You notice where their pen pressed harder, leaving small dents in the paper like they leaned into the thought, wanting it to reach you with extra force. You set the pages on your chest and lie back, feeling a weight there that's oddly comforting. A human experience bubbles up, a mix of excitement and fear of letting yourself fall for someone you can reach. You catch yourself thinking, can this really be love if we've only had words? The question lingers in your mind, wide and echoing. The room feels different now, as if they're sitting across from you in the hush, sharing the silence. You imagine what they look like while writing if they tapped the pen against their lip, or stared into the distance searching for words. You wonder if their hands shook when they sealed the envelope, or if they kissed it for luck before dropping it into the mailbox. A tiny detail sticks in your head. You picture them doodling hearts in the margin, then crossing them out, embarrassed but hopeful. The letter ends with an invitation, write me back soon. Tell me everything. Your breath catches at the simplicity of it, how that one line holds a door wide open, waiting for your stories to fill the empty space. You can almost hear them whisper it, voice softer than paper, warmer than distance. Outside, a breeze rattles the window, making the world feel even quieter. The lamp's light pools golden across the envelope on your chest, and you think, maybe this is enough. Maybe words can hold two people together if they're sent with care. Your eyelids flutter closed for a moment, but you force them open, hungry to read it one more time. You slip the pages back into their envelope, placing it under your pillow like a talisman. Even as you drift towards sleep, you feel them with you, every word a thread tying your heart to theirs. You wake to the rhythmic patter of rain against your window, a soft percussion that makes the world outside feel hazy and far away. It is the kind of morning where you can tell where the sky ends and the clouds begin, and you decide it's the perfect day to reply. You prop yourself up on pillows, the letter you received yesterday resting at your side like a silent companion. The room feels cocooned in the muted gray light, and each droplet outside sounds like it's counting the seconds you've been apart. You find your favorite pen black ink, fine tip, and a fresh sheet of creamy paper. It feels smooth under your palm, a tiny luxury in a world of digital screens. As you write their name at the top, your chest tightens with a sweet ache. You wonder if they're awake yet, if they're drinking coffee by a similar window, or if they've already stepped into the rush of their day. The thought makes you smile, but it's a quiet, private smile that doesn't quite reach your lips. Your first words are careful, almost shy. It's raining here too. You imagine them reading that and feeling the odd, lovely coincidence, two people in different cities joined by the same clouds. You let the pen flow across the page, the scratch of its tip, a comforting sound. You share how the rain made you late for work yesterday, how you stood under an awning with strangers, thinking of them as your shoes soaked through. It felt romantic in the moment, like life pressing pause so you could remember what it feels like to miss someone. Your words wander into details, the way the neighbor's cat comes to your window for shelter, the warmth of your favorite blanket, the slightly burnt toast you made because you were daydreaming. You wonder if you're oversharing or boring them, but you keep going, hoping they'll see the world through your eyes and feel your days unfolding beside theirs. Halfway down the page, you pause to imagine their reaction. Will they smile at your clumsy attempts at humor? Will they read it twice, like you did with theirs? You picture them tracing your words the way you traced theirs, lingering on certain sentences, letting your thoughts settle into their mind. A quiet longing unfurls in your chest, a recognizable human experience, hoping your words will reach them not just physically, but emotionally, bridging the spaces you can't cross. You tilt your head back against the headboard, listening to the rain intensify, each drop sounding like a metronome for your thoughts. Your mind drifts to a specific emotional detail, the way you tap your pen against your lip when you restuck on a sentence, a nervous habit you wish you could show them in person. Would they find it endearing? Would they tease you for it, gently, with that warm tone you've only ever imagined? You scribble a question you've been too nervous to ask. What do you miss most right now? You don't know if they'll answer, but just writing it makes your heart beat faster. You realize how many questions you carry, each one a small wish to know them deeper. Another thought lingers, unspoken. Do you think this is enough to build something real? You leave it hovering there, between lines, where it can breathe without needing an answer. You end the letter with a playful sign-off, yours in the rain. Folding it carefully, you slip it into an envelope and seal it with a firm press of your thumb, feeling a small thrill rush through you. You run your fingers over the smooth paper one last time, imagining the path it will take mail trucks, sorting centers, miles of highway before it lands in their hands. As you set the envelope by the door, ready for tomorrow's walk to the post office, you feel a fragile contentment settle over you. The rain continues its gentle drumming, and you sit quietly, picturing the moment they'll find your words waiting for them. You're restless the next few nights, turning over in bed, sheets twisting around your legs like vines. You keep thinking about whether your letter has arrived, whether they've held it yet, or if it's still somewhere in transit rattling along dark highways or tucked into a postman's bag. Each night you imagine them opening it, their eyes lighting up in the same way yours did. You picture their smile, maybe a quiet laugh at your clumsy jokes, and the idea calms you just enough to drift off. A week later, you find their next envelope waiting on your doorstep. Your heartbeat trips over itself as you pick it up, fingers trembling at the thought of what might be inside. The paper is slightly damp from morning dew, and you scold yourself for leaving the mailbox unchecked overnight. But the moment you see their handwriting, everything else fades, the ache of missing, the worry they'd forgotten you. All of it dissolves like sugar in tea. You settle into your favorite chair by the window, knees tucked to your chest as you start reading. Their words spill out more freely this time. They write about a childhood memory, a small river near their grandmother's house where they defloat leaves and watch them race downstream. You can almost hear their laughter, high and unguarded. You sense how it still makes them feel safe, even after all these years. The letter shifts from stories to secrets, tiny, quiet admissions you know they've never told anyone else. You learn they sometimes wake in the night feeling an emptiness they can't name, that they hate the sound of clocks ticking in the dark, that they once dreamed of living in a lighthouse, alone but for the waves. Each confession feels like a lock clicking open, a soft glow of trust spilling into your chest. You recognize a shared human experience, the relief of finally being seen, even from far away. You pause over a particular line. I wish I could show you the way I bite my lip when I am nervous. You smile, touched by the mirroring of your own habits. That quirky emotional detail tugs at you, like you're discovering someone who's a puzzle piece made to fit yours. The letter closes with an open-ended thought. Do you ever wonder if words can be more honest than anything else? It hangs in the air long after you finish reading, like a star refusing to fade with the dawn. You set the pages in your lap and stare out the window, letting the question wash over you. You still wonder if writing can truly hold all the shades of what you feel, or if it only sketches shadows of the real thing. Your thoughts wander to the first letter again, and you feel how each note builds on the last tiny threads, weaving a tapestry you never expected. You remember the thrill of their name on the return address, how your heart seemed to squeeze itself in joy and fear at once. Even now, you keep that first envelope tucked in your knitstand, a talisman of beginnings. A car splashes through puddles outside, the sound muted and distant. You realize the world has been moving all around you while you sat there, lost in the quiet exchange of secrets. It makes you feel oddly untethered, like time has paused just for the two of you. You fold the letter back into its envelope with reverence, as if it's something sacred. You lay it on your chest, eyes fluttering shut, replaying the words in your mind like a lullaby. For a moment, the miles between you disappear, replaced by the hush of breath and the warmth of knowing someone, somewhere, is reaching for you with words alone. The next morning, you wake to sunlight streaming through your window, bright and insistent. You stretch, feeling every joint pop, and your gaze lands immediately on the envelope you left on your knitstand. It feels like a beacon, pulling you back into the quiet world you share with them, a world that exists in the space between letters. You pick it up, running your thumb along the fold lines, and a shiver of anticipation moves through you. You know it's your turn again, and the thought of filling another page with your life both excites and terrifies you. Over breakfast, you start jotting notes on a scrap of paper half-formed sentences about how your plants are finally sprouting new leaves, how you tried a new recipe and nearly set off the smoke alarm, how you stayed up until dawn watching the moon drift across the sky. These small details feel silly in isolation, but you remind yourself that they build a bridge between you and them. By midday, you sit down at your desk, a cup of warm tea steaming beside you. You begin your letter with the simplest truth. I missed you. The words feel both daring and necessary, like naming something fragile you've been trying to protect. As your pen moves, you describe the way your apartment smells like basil from the potted plant you overwatered, how your neighbor's laughter filters through thin walls, reminding you that life keeps moving even when you feel stuck. A familiar human experience rises, the sense of being both connected and isolated, longing to share your days with someone who isn't there to witness them. You try to capture it in words, painting small vignettes of your routines, the mug you always reach for in the morning, the flickering streetlight outside your window, the way you hum the same tune every time you wash dishes. You wonder if they can picture you there, if they can see these rituals and feel like they're beside you. A specific emotional detail sneaks in as you confess the way you reread their letters late at night, letting your thumb trace their handwriting until your eyes blur with sleepiness. You describe how your heart flips every time you see a new message in your mailbox, how the world seems to tilt just a little when you find their name. As you write, you let yourself drift into open-ended thoughts. What would it feel like to wake up and find them beside you? To hear them breathing softly in the morning hush? These questions pour from your pen, raw and unguarded, like seeds planted in hopes they'll grow into something lasting. Halfway through, you pause, staring at the half-filled page. You realize you've stopped worrying about whether you're saying too much. There's comfort in knowing your words are met with understanding, in feeling like every awkward sentence and rambling paragraph is accepted with quiet joy. It's the kind of safety you didn't know you needed. The letter continues with stories from your week, the cafe you visited, the old man who complimented your scarf, the way the sunset painted your bedroom walls pink and gold. You tell them how you thought of them in each of these moments, how you wish they could see the things that reminded you of them. Each detail is an offering, a gentle invitation into your world. You end with a soft confession. I don't know where this is going, but I know I don't want it to stop. Folding the letter carefully, you press your lips to the envelope before sealing it, a silly, tender ritual that makes you laugh at yourself. You picture them smiling when they open it, maybe pressing the envelope to their chest the way you do with theirs. Placing it on your kitchen table, ready to send, you feel a calm warmth spread through you. Outside, the sun climbs higher and the world looks softer somehow, as if the distance between you and them has shrunk just a little. You carry your letter to the post office that afternoon, the envelope tucked carefully into your bag like a secret. The sky is clear, the air crisp with the scent of late spring flowers, and you feel more alive than you have in days. The sidewalk is busy with people rushing past, their conversations blending into a comforting hum. But you walk slowly, savoring every step, letting anticipation stretch out like a lazy cat basking in sunlight. When you reach the small, familiar building, you pause on the steps, the envelope warm from where you've held it so tightly. You take a deep breath before stepping inside. The post office is cool and quiet, the scent of paper and old wood filling your senses. There's a kind of sacred hush here, like everyone understands this is a place where words begin their journeys. You step up to the counter, slide your letter forward, and watch as the clerk stamps it. It's oddly intimate, seeing someone else handle the envelope that holds your thoughts and hopes. You walk out with a strange lightness in your chest, like you've sent a piece of yourself across the miles, trusting it to find its way. The streets feel different now, brighter, friendlier, even the shadows softened by your quiet joy. You take the long way home, letting your thoughts drift back to all the little moments you've shared in your letters. That night, you lie awake, imagining their reaction as they find your envelope among the bills and flyers. You picture them closing their door behind them, tossing keys on the table, and tearing open the flap with breathless excitement. The thought makes you smile in the dark, your fingers resting lightly on your collarbone as if to hold your heart in place. You feel a human experience stirring inside you, the ache of waiting, of knowing something precious is out of your hands now. You think about how vulnerability is a quiet, stubborn courage, how it's both thrilling and terrifying to lay yourself bare in ink, to hope your words will be met with tenderness. Your mind replays one specific emotional detail from your walk home, a street musician playing a melancholy tune on a violin. The notes floated through the evening air, weaving around you like silk. You stood there longer than you meant to, the music making you ache in the sweetest way. You nearly pulled out your phone to record it, but decided instead to memorize the melody, to hum it into your next letter like a secret you could share. An open-ended thought tugs at you as you drift between wakefulness and sleep. How many moments like this can two people collect before they belong to each other completely? The question hangs softly in your mind, a lullaby of possibility. As you slip into dreams, you hold on to the sense of peace that comes from knowing someone somewhere is waiting for your words. The moonlight glows against your window, and you whisper a silent wish into the night that your letters will always find their way, no matter how far the distance grows. You wake the next morning with a faint memory of dreams you can't quite catch, shadows of imagined conversations and soft laughter that vanish as your eyes flutter open. The thought is a quiet comfort, like an invisible thread that tethers your hearts together. The days slip by more gently now. You start noticing small, beautiful things you once rushed past. The way raindrops bead on your window like tiny pearls. The delicate fragrance of fresh laundry. The birds that gather on the telephone wires outside your kitchen. You jot these details down in a notebook you thus started keeping just for them little moments you want to share. Glimpses of your world that might make them smile. Each evening, you find yourself returning to your mailbox with a flutter of hope. Fingertips brushing the cold metal before you open the door. Sometimes there's nothing inside but stale air and old coupons. But on the fourth day, you spot an envelope tucked among the bells, your name written in their familiar looping hand. Your heart leaps, a dizzy rush of happiness that makes you laugh aloud on the empty street. You rush upstairs, barely remembering to lock your door behind you, and sit cross-legged on the living room floor. You tear the envelope open, careful not to rip the pages inside. Their words spill out in an easy, playful tone stories of their week, how they spilled coffee on their favorite shirt, how their cat has taken to sleeping on their laptop, how they found a song that reminded them of your letters. A recognizable human experience unfolds as you read, the joy of realizing you re-becoming part of someone's daily life. That your presence is felt even when you're not there. They describe ordinary things in ways that make them shimmer with meaning, as if your shared letters have taught you both to see the world through each other's eyes. One specific emotional detail catches your breath. They tell you how they started keeping a mug by their bed because you mentioned doing the same. They like to imagine you both sipping warm drinks under the same moon, even if you're hundreds of miles apart. The thought makes you press your hand to your chest, as if you can feel their warmth across the distance. As the letter nears its end, an open-ended thought invites you deeper. What if every letter we write brings us a little closer to the day we meet? The question pulses in your mind, tender and hopeful, as you fold the pages back into their envelope. That night, you tuck their letter under your pillow, the weight of their words, a gentle anchor pulling you towards sleep. The sounds of the city outside become a lullaby, and you drift off imagining their face in the morning light, the softness of their voice saying your name for the first time in person. You wake before your alarm, the sky outside your window still dark with the hush of early morning. There's a sense of electricity in the air, a tingling anticipation that makes you swing your feet to the floor and reach for the letter under your pillow. You read it again, tracing their handwriting, catching the warmth between each word like sunlight through a window. You set the letter on your nightstand and start your morning routine with a soft sense of purpose. As you brush your teeth, you replay their stories in your mind, savoring every silly detail about their cat, every quiet confession they shared. You imagine what their voice would sound like if they were here, teasing you gently about the toothpaste foam at the corners of your mouth. Later, at work, you catch yourself smiling at odd moments. When someone asks you what's made you so happy lately, you almost tell them everything, but instead you just shrug, unwilling to share the precious secret you're building with someone far away. You realize you like that it's just yours and theirs, a private world that lives in ink and imagination. During lunch, you pull out your notebook and begin scribbling notes for your reply. You write about the little victory of fixing the leaky faucet in your kitchen, how you danced around the room when the drip finally stopped. You describe the surprise rainstorm that caught you without an umbrella, the way you ran through the streets laughing as the sky poured its heart out. These moments feel ordinary, but you know they'll see them the way you see theirs, like tiny treasures. A recognizable human experience stirs as you linger over your words. The quiet vulnerability of wanting someone to know the real you, not just the polished stories, but the silly mistakes and awkward thoughts that make up your days. It's the gentle terror of opening your life to someone else, hoping they'll keep it safe. A specific emotional detail emerges as you describe how you best started wearing the sweater they once complimented. Even when it's too warm for it, you tell them it's like a soft reminder of their eyes on you, a comforting weight that makes you feel seen. An open-ended thought drifts into your mind as your pen pauses. Will our letters still feel like magic if we ever meet in person, or will the realness make them even more precious? The question stays with you all afternoon, humming quietly in your chest as you go about your day. As evening falls, you light a candle and curl up by the window, the world outside washed in deep blue twilight. You imagine them reading your letter, their lips curling into a smile, their fingers brushing the edges of the page. You whisper their name to the night, as if the stars might carry it to them. When sleep finally comes, it feels sweeter than usual, threaded through with the quiet joy of being known and of knowing someone in return. You wake to the pale light of dawn peeking through your curtains, the air cool and still. The letter you've been working on lies open on your desk, pages spread like wings, ink dried in gentle curves that carry your days to them. You pad across the floor, bare feet cold against the wood, and reread the words you poured out the night before. They feel raw but honest, like you've captured something real about the quiet beat of your days. As you sip your coffee, you imagine them opening your letter, the paper crackling softly in their hands. You picture the way their eyebrows might lift in surprise at your stories, or how they laugh at the part about you nearly setting off the fire alarm while cooking pasta. The thought warms you from the inside, even as the morning air bites at your skin. You seal the envelope with care, pressing it closed like it holds your heartbeat. Walking to the mailbox becomes a small, sacred ritual, your steps deliberate, your breath visible in the cold. The mailbox door squeaks as you open it, and when you slide the letter inside, you linger for a moment, hand resting against the cold metal. You murmur a silent wish, let these words find their way. As you head back home, a recognizable human experience flickers through you, the sweet ache of missing someone you've never met, the thrill of trusting that they miss you too. You marvel at how distance can shrink in the quiet exchange of words, how the gaps between heartbeats feel smaller when you know someone is reading your thoughts miles away. Later, you spend the afternoon cleaning your apartment, humming absent-mindedly to songs that remind you of them. Dust swirls in golden beams of light, settling on old photographs and half-finished books. You think about how you de-show them this place if they were here, how you de-pour them coffee in your favorite chipped mug, how you point out the crack in the ceiling that looks like a lightning bolt. A specific emotional detail tugs at you when you find the lavender mug you broke months ago, the one you once told them about. You run your thumb along the glued seam, remembering how you cried over it because it was the cup you always use while reading their letters. You consider telling them the story in your next letter, feeling the vulnerability curl in your chest. An open-ended thought surfaces as the sun begins to set, painting your walls in soft orange. If our words can cross oceans, could our hearts follow? The question lingers in your mind like a gentle refrain, weaving itself into your thoughts as you fold laundry, as you boil water for tea, as you sit quietly with your own breath. That night, you stand by your window, the sky above a velvet sweep of stars. You close your eyes and picture them under the same constellation, imagining your letters as tiny comets streaking through the dark, lighting up the space between you. You whisper goodnight to the silence, hoping the distance feels a little smaller for both of you. Morning comes with soft rain tapping against your window, each drop a delicate percussion that fills your small apartment with a peaceful rhythm. You stay wrapped in your blankets a little longer than usual, listening to the gentle music of water on glass, imagining them waking up to the same rain, or perhaps a bright sun, wondering what their morning looks like. If they think of you when the day begins, you pull yourself from bed, shuffling to the kitchen to make tea. As the kettle sings, you reread their last letter, the pages curling slightly at the corners. Their words feel like a balm, each line easing the quiet ache of missing them. You catch yourself smiling at their description of the evening walk they took, how they stopped to watch fireflies dance in the dark, how they wished you were there to see them too. You slip into your routine, but it feels softer now, your day woven with a sense of connection. As you fold laundry, you find the shirt you wore on the day you wrote your first letter to them. The fabric is worn and comfortable, and you press it to your face, breathing in the faint scent of old detergent and summer air. You decide to wear it again today, feeling it wrap you in memories. A recognizable human experience settles over you as you sit at your desk, pen in hand, the comfort of falling into a quiet, familiar pattern with someone, even if that someone lives far away. You realize these letters have become more than stories. They're a ritual, an anchor, something you both return to when the world feels overwhelming. You write slowly, savoring the motion of pen on paper. You describe how the rain looks as it slides down the glass in winding rivers, how you trace the path of a single drop with your finger, pretending it was a tiny map leading to them. You tell them how you paused in the grocery store today, smiling at a display of peaches because they once mentioned loving the scent of fresh fruit. One specific emotional detail emerges as you remember the old couple you saw under a shared umbrella, leaning into each other with easy intimacy. You write about how you imagine the two of you someday walking side by side like that, unhurried and content, rain pattering softly around you. As the afternoon turns to evening, an open-ended thought rises quietly inside you. If we can build this closeness with just our words, how much deeper could it grow if we stood face to face? The thought makes your chest ache in a sweet way, a reminder of how hope can bloom even across distances. That night, you curl up with a blanket by the window, watching the raindrops blur the city lights. You whisper their name into the quiet, imagining it carried away by the night breeze. You promise yourself you'll keep writing, keep opening your heart, no matter how far the miles stretch between you. The morning light spills through your curtains with a pale gold warmth that feels like a promise. You stretch, body still heavy with sleep, but your mind already buzzing with thoughts of them. The first thing you do, even before brushing your teeth, is check your phone for any notification, a simple good morning, a photo, anything to tether you to them for the day ahead. When there's nothing new, you smile softly to yourself, remembering you both prefer letters, the old-fashioned patience that makes every reply feel like a small miracle. You brew your coffee and stare at the empty chair across the table. Some mornings, it feels like they're sitting there with you, half awake and tousled, laughing at your bedhead or reaching for your mug. You picture them clearly enough to almost hear their voice, the way they might tease you for pouring too much cream or forgetting the sugar. You decide to spend the day at the library, a place you once described in your letters. You want to capture the dusty hush of tall shelves and the comforting scratch of pen on paper. So you pack your notebook and slip outside into the brisk morning air. On the bus ride over, you catch your reflection in the window, cheeks pink from the cold, eyes bright with anticipation, and you think of how you'll describe this small journey to them later. Inside the library, you find a quiet corner bathed in soft light. You start your letter with a vivid description of the place, the scent of old pages, the hushed whispers of other readers, the way your breath puffs slightly in the cool air. A recognizable human experience takes shape as you write, the way certain places become sacred, simply because you wish to share them with someone you love. You pause, watching a child tiptoe down the aisle to place a book back on a shelf, eyes wide with wonder. You jot down the scene, thinking of how they'd appreciate the quiet magic of it. A specific emotional detail slips into your letter as you confess how you sometimes leave notes in library books for strangers to find small wishes or words of encouragement because it makes you feel less alone. As the hours pass, the library grows quieter, the late afternoon light turning everything amber. You wonder if they'd sit across from you at this table, tapping their pen in thought, smiling whenever your eyes met. An open-ended thought drifts onto your page. Could love begin like this, in these ordinary moments we'd share if only the miles would fold? When you finally leave, dusk has settled over the streets. You walk slowly, savoring the chill air and the glow of shop windows. Back home, you tuck the finished letter into an envelope, your hands trembling just a little. It's longer than usual, filled with stories and quiet questions you hope they'll feel in their bones. You place the letter by your door, ready for tomorrow's walk to the mailbox. As you crawl into bed, you close your eyes and imagine them reading your words, their face soft with understanding. You drift off with a peaceful heart, knowing that every line you send makes the distance a little less lonely. You wake before dawn, the sky outside still a deep indigo. There's a hush in the air, the kind that makes you feel like the world is holding its breath. You lie still for a moment, listening to your heartbeat, thinking of them. Your letter sits by the door, ready to be mailed. You imagine it already in their hands, their eyes scanning each word, a quiet smile playing on their lips. As the sun rises, you step outside into the cool morning air, your breath misting in front of you. The walk to the mailbox feels ceremonial, each footstep measured and deliberate. You remember the first time you sent a letter to them, how your hand shook, how you worried it might feel silly or too much. Now the ritual comforts you, a constant in a world that so often feels uncertain. The mailbox clanks shut with a soft finality, and you rest your hand on its cool metal for a beat longer than necessary. You whisper a wish into the morning. Let this letter find them well. Let it bring them a little peace. The words drift into the quiet street, dissolving like breath into the pale light. As you head home, you pick up a pastry from the bakery on the corner, the one you once described in your letters. You savor each bite on your way back, crumbs falling on your coat, and you think of how you'd laugh together at your messy breakfast if they were here. A recognizable human experience rises as you remember the mix of hope and fear that comes with waiting for a reply, the sweet ache of anticipation, the way every day stretches a little longer when you're longing for someone's words. Later, you tidy your apartment, humming softly as you dust the shelves and straighten the books stacked on your nightstand. You find one of the first letters they ever sent you tucked between two novels. The paper is creased and soft at the edges, as familiar as the lines of your own palm. You read it again, tracing the letters with your finger, marveling at how even then you could sense something special taking root. A specific emotional detail tugs at your chest as you write about the way you started carrying a small notebook wherever you go, scribbling little things you want to tell them. A stray cat crossing your path, the song you heard that made you think of their smile, the moment you saw a plane overhead and wondered if one day you'd fly to them. As evening falls, your mind drifts to an open-ended thought. What stories will we tell each other when there are no more letters, only nights spent side by side? The question feels both distant and immediate, a promise folded into possibility. You slip into bed, lights dimmed, the day's quiet moments still echoing in your mind. You whisper goodnight to the dark, imagining their reply carried by the night air, soft and sure, closing the distance inch by inch. The morning sun spills over your bed in stripes of warm light, the kind that makes you want to stay tangled in your blankets forever. But you rise, thoughts of them already stirring in your chest. The floor is cold against your feet as you cross to the kitchen, starting the day with the comforting gurgle of your coffee maker. You sit at the table, wrapping your hands around your mug, eyes unfocused as you imagine what they're doing right now, if they're awake yet, if they're thinking of you too. A notification pings softly on your phone. It's a photo from them, a quiet street lined with cherry blossoms, petals drifting like pale snow. You study every detail, noticing the faint reflection of their hand in the window they took it from. The image feels intimate, like they've shared a breath of their world with you, and you send a message back, heart fluttering with the small thrill of real-time connection. You spend the afternoon wandering the city, notebook in hand, jotting down scenes you want to describe in your next letter. A woman in a yellow raincoat laughing as her umbrella flips inside out. A busker playing a mournful tune on an old saxophone. A dog asleep by a cafe door, chest rising and falling like the tide. Each small moment becomes a thread you plan to weave into the tapestry of your words. A recognizable human experience comes as you pause on a park bench, watching strangers greet each other with warm hugs. You feel a soft ache bloom in your chest, a longing so sharp it makes your breath hitch. You scribble it down, unsure how to capture the exact weight of missing someone. So deeply you can almost touch them in the empty space beside you. You buy a small gift, a pressed flower bookmark you think they'd love, and slip it into your bag, planning to include it with your next letter. A specific emotional detail surfaces when you imagine them sliding it between the pages of their favorite book, your worlds overlapping in quiet, beautiful ways. As dusk gathers, you return home with your cheeks pink from the wind, your notebook brimming with words. You settle at your desk, light a candle, and begin your letter. You write about the delicate scent of cherry blossoms that lingered even after the photo, about how you imagined walking that street with them, your hands brushing, your laughter caught in the petals drifting around you. An open-ended thought circles your mind as you pause, pen hovering above the paper. How long can two people sustain a love built of words and waiting? The question frightens you and comforts you all at once, a quiet truth that feels as necessary as breath. Later, you slip the pressed flower bookmark between the folded pages of your letter, imagining their smile when they find it. You seal the envelope with care, feeling a soft peace settle in your chest. Tonight you sleep with the certainty that some distances are meant to be crossed, word by word, hope by hope. You wake to a sky the color of steel, clouds heavy with the promise of rain. The air feels hushed, like the world is still deciding whether to move or stay still. You pad across your apartment, each footstep muffled against the floor. The room smells faintly of the candle you let burn too long the night before, a warm, smoky sweetness that wraps around you like a memory. Your phone buzzes with a new message from them, a voice note, their sleepy tone weaving through the quiet of your morning. You replay it twice, letting the gentle cadence of their words fill the empty space around you. Their voice feels both close and impossibly far, and you answer with a message of your own, voice low and soft as you tell them about the gray morning outside your window. You slip on your coat, tucking your latest letter into your pocket as you step into the misty air. The walk to the mailbox is different today. The streets are empty, puddles gathering in the dips of the sidewalk, the hush of the city matching your contemplative mood. Each raindrop that splashes your face feels like a quiet blessing, and you think of them watching the same rain fall in a different city, imagining your lives overlapping in the drizzle. A recognizable human experience brushes against you as you pass a cafe where a couple sits close together inside, sharing a pastry and a private joke. You pause, heart aching, not with envy, but with longing, a yearning for those small, unremarkable moments made extraordinary by togetherness. You drop your letter into the mailbox and rest your forehead against the cold metal, eyes slipping shut as you breathe deeply. You whisper their name like a prayer, hoping your words find them safely, hoping they feel your presence in the spaces between each line. Later, you visit a small bookstore you've mentioned to them before. You run your fingers along the spines of novels, searching for something that feels like a message. You settle on a book of poems about cities and send them a photo of the cover, telling them how each poem makes you think of the places you both dream of exploring together. A specific emotional detail catches you off guard as you watch an older man laugh quietly while reading at a corner table, his eyes crinkling with joy. You scribble a note to include in your next letter. I hope we find laughter like that, years from now, in a quiet place we call ours. The sky darkens early, the rain turning steadier as you hurry home, shoes splashing through shimmering puddles. Back in your apartment, you shed your damp coat and light the same candle from last night, the flame dancing in the gloom. You sit at your desk, writing your next letter by its flickering light, describing the way the bookstore smelled of old paper and wormwood, how the sound of rain against the roof made you think of them. An open-ended thought unfurls across the page as you sign your name. Will the words we share now become the stories we tell someday? Sitting side by side as the rain falls outside our window, you fold the letter carefully, sealing it with a sense of quiet hope. That night, you drift off with the candle still burning low, its soft glow breathing warmth into the shadows, your dreams full of rain-soaked streets and the certainty that every step, every word, is bringing you closer. The morning breaks softly, pale sunlight slipping through drifting clouds, painting shifting patterns across your walls. You lie in bed longer than usual, cocooned in blankets, listening to the quiet hum of the world outside. Your thoughts wander to them with a tenderness that makes you smile, wondering if they're re-waking up too, if they've dreamt of you the way you dream of them. Your phone lights up with a message, a photo of their breakfast table, sunlight catching on a chipped blue mug you've heard about in stories, a slice of toast balanced precariously on the edge of a plate. The sight is ordinary, yet it feels like a secret just for you, a glimpse into a quiet morning you wish you could share in person. You send a voice note back, your tone low and teasing, describing your own breakfast of burnt toast and cold coffee. Your laugh drifts through the recording, a playful crack in your sleepy voice, and you imagine them listening, eyes crinkling at the corners the way you've always pictured. The day unfolds lazily. You take your time showering, letting the steam wrap around you. You hum their favorite song under your breath, the melody carrying memories of nights spent writing letters by candlelight. As you dress, you find a sweater they once complimented on a video call. You pull it on like armor, the fabric smelling faintly of old perfume and the warmth of past days. A recognizable human experience catches you mid-morning when you notice a small tear in the sleeve of that sweater. You remember how they'd probably fuss over it, urging you to let them mend it if they were here. The thought leaves a soft ache in your chest, a quiet reminder of the care that lives in small gestures. You spend the afternoon writing your next letter, every word a step closer across the miles. You describe the way the city smells after rain, the rainbow you caught arching over rooftops, the soft satisfaction of reading a good book in your favorite chair. Each detail is a string you weave between your hearts, binding you tighter with every sentence. A specific emotional detail slips in as you describe the old cafe you passed on your way home, the one where an elderly couple sat close, heads bent together, their hands touching lightly on the table. You wonder aloud in your letter if one day, years from now, you'll find yourselves just like them, comfortable, wordless, sharing a life built of mornings like this. As the afternoon sun begins its slow descent, you curl up on the couch with your phone in hand, rereading past letters saved on your screen. You smile at their jokes, the scribbled notes about their day, the moments of quiet vulnerability shared late at night. Each message is a pebble in the path you're building toward each other. An open-ended thought flickers as you write the final lines of your letter. Is it the distance that makes us brave enough to be honest? Or would we speak this openly face to face? You sign your name with a flourish, imagining them unfolding the pages with careful hands. As darkness falls, you place the new letter beside your keys, ready for tomorrow's walk to the mailbox. You stand by the window, city lights glittering in the gathering night, and whisper goodnight to the stars, hoping they carry your words swiftly to the one who waits. You wake before your alarm, a rare thing, the quiet dawn holding you gently in its arms. The sky outside your window is streaked with pink and pale gold, the world stirring with a softness that mirrors the ache of missing them. You lie there for a long time, the sheets warm around you, imagining what it would feel like to roll over and find them asleep beside you, hair mussed, breath steady. The first thing you do is check your phone, a small ritual you've both settled into your sleepy message to them. There's waiting for you like a secret tucked under your pillow. This morning, their words are simple. I dreamed you were here. The sentence burrows under your ribs, filling you with a fierce tenderness. You spend the morning writing another letter, your hand moving steadily across the page. You tell them about the scent of freshly cut grass drifting through your open window, the neighbor's cat sprawled on the sidewalk like royalty, the way you caught your reflection in a shop window and smiled because you saw traces of their joy lingering in your eyes. A recognizable human experience hums beneath your words, the quiet fear of the waiting, the way silence between replies can stretch out like an endless hallway, echoing with your own doubts. But you remind yourself in them that love is often a practice of patience, a faith that words, once sent, will always find their way home. You slip the finished letter into your bag, determined to mail it later, and head out for a walk. The morning is bright and crisp, the air cool enough to make you grateful for the scarf you've wrapped around your neck. Each step feels deliberate, like you're walking a line that will eventually lead you to them. A specific emotional detail catches you as you stop for coffee, hands curled around the paper cup. You remember how they once told you they couldn't to start their day without 2 sugars in their mug, and you find yourself adding the same amount to your own coffee. A quiet homage that makes you chuckle softly at your own lovesick mimicry. Later, you pause in a quiet square where musicians are setting up for an afternoon concert. You watch them tune their instruments, the low thrum of cello strings vibrating in your chest. You imagine standing here with them, hands brushing as you sway to the music, 2 heartbeats pulsing in time with a song no one else can hear. You return home just as clouds gather overhead, the first drops of rain pattering against your shoulders. Inside, you light a candle and read old letters again, letting the scent of warm wax and old paper wash over you. Each letter is a time capsule, a record of the way your love has unfolded in soft moments and gentle words. An open-ended thought tugs at your heart as you write tonight's final lines. When the distance is gone, will we still find new words to give each other, or will our silences say everything? You let the question hang in the space between you and the page, trusting it will carry forward with the rest of your words. You slip the letter into its envelope, the motion familiar, comforting. You whisper their name into the quiet room, a promise and a prayer all at once, certain that somehow they'll hear it across the miles. The room grows still as the last words settle into the night air, the candle flickering low, casting soft shadows that dance lazily across the walls. Your breath slows, each inhale longer than the last, each exhale a quiet surrender to the hush gathering around you. The city outside fades into a blur of distant sounds, car tires whispering along wet streets, the soft sigh of wind weaving through alleys, the occasional bark of a dog drifting like a lullaby. Your mind drifts to the letters sent and received, the memories wrapped in each page, the way love travels through words when touch isn't possible. You remember the warmth of those early messages, the excitement of every new reply, the comfort found in simple updates about breakfasts and rainstorms. You picture the day when there are no more letters, when mornings are shared in the same room, and every soft goodnight is whispered face to face. Let yourself sink deeper into the mattress, the sheets holding you close, the darkness outside wrapping you in quiet safety. Let your thoughts unravel gently, each worry slipping away like leaves carried downstream, each hope settling softly in your chest. Trust that even across the longest distances, words can find their way, love can grow, and 2 hearts can learn to be together, even when separated by oceans of time and silence. Breathe in the peace of this moment. Breathe out the day's lingering doubts. Feel the warmth of connection, the gentle weight of hope, the certainty that somewhere, someone is thinking of you just as you are of them. End of script. Sweet dreams.